All right, welcome to the Tennis.com podcast. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Nina Pantic. I am joined in this episode with Irina Falcone. Irina, hi.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Our special guest is Brandon Nakashima. Brandon, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Good to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you, Brandon. You're just 18, turning 19 in August. You were the ranked number 4 junior in the world. You turned pro after just a season at UVA, and you're ranked number 220 in the world already. We're excited to have you on. Our first and most favorite question these days is, how has your quarantine life treated you, and where are you?
So I'm currently right now in San Diego, California, back at home with my parents and my brother. I just been pretty much just staying low key during this time, trying to just keep a distance from people and still trying to maintain some good training as much as I can, and just trying to use this opportunity as a kind of a positive experience and just try to make the most out of it.
Once Indian Wells was canceled and the whole tour was kind of postponed, did you back off a little bit, take a break from tennis, or have you just been consistently training?
I actually have been consistently training actually from when Indian Wells was canceled. Been training actually the past couple months back at home here, pretty much every day. So and getting some good fitness sessions in too. So it's been actually really beneficial for my game during this time.
Making the most out of it. This is a good approach. So who have you been working with? I know that you were with Pat Cash. You added him to your team. You also had Bo Trays as your full-time coach. Is that still your setup today?
No, I've actually stopped working with Bo. After the Indian Wells was canceled, a couple weeks after we decided to part ways a little bit, and I've kind of been working more the last couple months with Pat Cash, like you said. He's been really beneficial for my game and teaching me some good stuff on the courts. So it's been great so far with him.
So Pat Cash, we actually had him on the podcast a little bit ago, and he told us, what a joy it's been to be working with you, and you're such a hard worker and everything. So now let's get your side of the story. What's it like working with Pat Cash? And tell us a little bit about his coaching philosophy and what he brings to your game.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been great so far. I mean, we the first time I actually met him was in Delray Beach. When I made that good run there, and he was just there, just kind of feeling each other out, watching me play some matches, and then after that, we kind of made like a set schedule for the next couple of weeks and next couple of months actually to spend a certain amount of weeks together. And after the tour was canceled, we decided to take a couple weeks. Take a couple weeks as a training block back here at home, and it's been great so far. He's definitely helped me improve a lot of areas of my game, specifically the net transition game, as he's most famous for. So it's been great having him here, and hopefully we can continue to keep getting better, especially when the tour gets back on.
And have you picked up any new hobbies or interests during this time? I know you said you didn't really take a break from tennis, but I know that Pat has some interesting hobbies. He talked a lot about things like music and rock and roll, and he had some diet facts he shared with us. Have you been picking up anything different during this strange long hiatus?
I mean, not really anything too particular. I mean, even before all this started, I definitely like to play other sports during my days off and free time. I like to go out and hit some golf balls sometimes, especially on my days off. And I guess during this time, I've tried to educate myself as much as possible, kind of like outside the tennis court, just by reading some books or reading some articles online about non-tennis stuff. So just trying to keep improving and educating myself during this time.
So you talked about education. When you were at UVA, you were only there for 1 year. Was it difficult to make that decision to become professional?
It was difficult for me, especially since I only spent one semester there, and after that one semester, I really developed strong relationships with all the guys on the team and all the coaches, and especially with all the people involved in the UVA tennis. So it was definitely a difficult decision to make, but when I finally made the decision to turn pro, I felt really good about myself and my decision, and especially all the guys at UVA and the coaches. They're all really supportive in my decision, and happy that I started my tennis career.
Do you have any interest in finishing your degree online or maybe going back to school, yeah, I don't know, in your 30s? Or how do you look at your continued education?
Definitely, I would like to go back to school whenever I'm done with tennis, and just trying to finish up my education and just keep improving myself as a person, even if it is at 30, 40 years old after I'm done with tennis, just to get back into learning new things and just keep improving myself as a person.
So I don't know. I actually do not know the answer to this. Did you go to UVA on a full ride?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so do you have the option to go back as a full ride like scholar, or is UVA one of those schools where you have to pay every single penny for each class and textbook?
Yes, so that was actually the deal with the coach when I committed at the time was I could play for only one semester, and whenever I decided to leave or turn professional, I could always come back on a full ride and whenever I want actually, and finish up my education there.
I should have done that, Nina.
I
I don't
mean,
know what I was thinking.
I just can't believe how mature. I mean, I can't believe how mature Brandon is. I feel like you're so put together. I'm like, come on, you're playing video games for sure. Stop messing with us. But you're so mature, and on that very interesting level. But you also had this shoe donation that you organized. Can you tell us, like, did you come up with it? Was it something that Fila helped you with? I think it was called Fila Frontlines, and you gave shoes to healthcare workers. How did that come together?
So a couple months ago, actually, when we were kind of in the middle of this pandemic situation, my agent reached out to me and kind of came up with the idea to try to help some of the frontline workers that are working in hospitals and pharmacies and stuff during this time. So we kind of both reached out to Fila and kind of told them our idea, and Fila was definitely on board with it from the beginning. So it was really good to just to give back to all those people helping during this time, and it was really nice to see them appreciating it and showing how much they like it.
Because I believe your parents are both healthcare workers. They're pharmacists, if I'm correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
both of them are pharmacists.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my mom's a pharmacist too. She's been working through this whole thing. So, I mean, I think it's really nice to give something to them while they're grinding, while we're all mostly sitting at home. How did you get
Right.
into tennis? If both your parents are pharmacists, how did you end up becoming a pro tennis player?
So I was actually about 3.5, 4 years old when my grandfather introduced me to tennis and just kind of briefly just kind of took me out to tennis courts just for fun and just started feeding me balls. And then it wasn't until I was about, I don't know, 14, 15 when I decided I kind of found out that I was good at tennis, and kind of said that I could make that I wanted to turn professional at some point. So after that, I just kept trying to keep improving my game and working hard. And eventually, when it was the right time to turn professional, I decided.
Hey everyone, you're listening to the Tennis.com podcast with Brandon Nakashima. The teenager is telling us what Pat Cash is bringing to his game. Keep listening.
So a lot of people, when they think of, oh, I found out I was good. I mean, what does that mean to you? Were you number one in the country? Were you the BIS, the blue chip recruit? What level were you where you're like, okay, I think now I know that I'm good and I want to keep going with this?
Right. So after the college season, I went back home and I actually played the junior slams that summer, and didn't really do as well as I hoped at those events. But in the fall, I decided to take the fall off from school and try to focus on keep improving my game. And luckily, I was able to get a couple wild cards into some challengers and did well in those events. So after performing well in those challengers and kind of progressively improved my game, at the end of last year, I ended up deciding to turn pro.
And it's gone. I mean, until March, it was going really well. You were a wild card in Delray Beach, and you managed to reach the quarterfinals. You got your first ATP win right off the bat. How was that week for you? And was it not really a relief, but did it validate your decision to turn pro?
It definitely did. I knew from all those fall challenger tournaments and doing so well at those that my game was ready to turn professional, and I just had to wait for the right time and right results to kind of solidify my decision. But I guess that week at Delray Beach was a really positive experience for me, especially since I didn't know I was actually going to play there until a couple of days before the tournament started. And having that great run there definitely gave me a lot of confidence in my game and knowing that I could compete with all these top guys.
So obviously going into Delray, you're feeling good, and finishing that tournament, you're feeling even better. Were there any goals that you set up with Pat Cash for the remainder of the year? I mean, obviously COVID came in and was like, psych. But before that, did you have like a plan? Did you guys have any areas of focus that you were wanting to like get better at? Any goals you wanted to accomplish?
I guess maybe some goals were to try to get into the qualifying of the slams by the end of the year, or to try to win few challengers at some point. But just more than anything, I think it was just trying to develop my game and keep improving my game, especially at this young age. So when I do end up playing those grand slams and getting to those high pressure moments, that my game would be built for those moments, and I'd be ready to do well at those tournaments.
Is there any player that you looked up to when you were younger, or someone that you maybe modeled some parts of your game after? I know Pat is now inserting himself into your game, but before that?
When I was growing up, I've always loved to watch Federer and Nadal, especially when they played each other. Their matches were all so such a great influence for my game, and especially now, I think when I think my game right now is mostly suited, it's most similar, I think, to Djokovic, just the game style we both play, and I think it's only gonna add more variety in my game having Pat here with me, coaching me, and I think just to keep improving my game is both of our long-term goals.
To say that your game mimics the number one in the world, I mean, that's pretty casual. You're saying it so casually, but that's amazing. I mean, it's who better to imitate? Before Djokovic came along, had that kind of been the plan for you, to kind of mimic someone that was just like an all-court player and, number one in the world casually?
Not really growing up. I mean, I knew I had kind of my own game style, and I just needed to stick with it all growing up through the juniors and in college. But when I started to get older, I started to realize that my game was maybe most similar to Djokovic out of the top guys. So I don't really try to imitate or mimic anybody, but I just try to stick to my game, and I think that probably most similar to Djokovic.
Is he maybe the person you would most want to face out of those three, or would you take, I guess, either of the big three at this point? Player you most want to play?
Probably most want to play Federer, I would say, especially in one of the slams, something on one of the big courts would be a dream for me.
Let's talk about the return of tennis, World Team Tennis. You're signed up to play for the Chicago Smash in July at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. How did you get into the World Team Tennis roster? Was it something that you were going to do before all the shutdown, or did you kind of express interest as the tournaments fell apart and this was kind of the only one that we could play?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, at the beginning of the year, my agent reached out to me, just kind of calm and nothing too serious, and just asked me, "Hey, would you be interested in playing team tennis during July this year?" So I was like, "Yeah, for sure." I mean, coming from a college team and having that great experience there, I really enjoyed that team atmosphere. So I definitely really wanted to play from the beginning. And once I signed with the Chicago team, I knew it was going to be a great experience, and we were especially really lucky to actually have the event this year, given all the circumstances. So just really thankful and really trying to get a good experience there.
World Team Tennis is very much team oriented, and I mean, it's in the name. Do you think that your experience at UVA is going to help you at the Greenbrier and, being part of a team? I mean, on the ATP tour, it's not very team oriented. So
Mhm.
just want to know how excited you are to be back in a team atmosphere.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this opportunity and being a part of a team again. I know the college atmosphere is maybe a little different than this World Team Tennis event, but just getting back out there and playing as a team, I'm really looking forward to. And once I get to know all the players on the team at a more personal level, I think it would be a really fun experience.
Yeah, do you know any of your teammates already? I think it's Jeannie Bouchard, Sloane Stevens, Evan King, Rajiv Ram, and then Coach Kamal Murray. Do you know any of them? Is there a group chat? How does this get rolling?
I actually haven't. The only person I actually met before was Evan King. I've seen him at a couple of challengers, but other than that, I mean, I've seen all of them play before, but never officially met them. And I'm sure we'll have time to have a team meeting when we get there or something, get to know each other. But just really looking forward to meeting all those top players.
Do you get to bring Pat with you? Because I know that there's a lot of different rules about who's allowed to go and how many people and all kinds of safety regulations. Do you get to bring Pat, or is he going to be watching on TV?
I think he'll be watching on TV. I think he'll be back at home. And I actually have been working with this other younger coach, Dusan Vemic, who actually moved to San Diego recently and is part of the team with Pat and I. So I think I'll be going with him there, and especially to once the tour starts back up, I think I'll be traveling to most tournaments with him and to Pat with. And Pat will be with us at some of the bigger tournaments, I would say.
Hey guys, Irina here. Today we have ATP player Brandon Nakashima telling us how he's preparing for World Team Tennis this summer. Keep listening. That's great that you're able to have someone like Dusan Vemic, right? You said? Yeah, I remember him. He used to play on the tour, and he was also a big time coach back in the day. Speaking of a team, did your parents ever go and join you in tournaments and watch you play and all that?
For sure. During the junior events, they always traveled with me to every tournament, and it was either my mom went with me or my dad, depending on their work schedule or something. But it was really good having them there with me, and especially at a young age, and it helped me mature as a person, and especially going to college by myself. It was a little difficult at the beginning, being away from home and stuff. But I think I've definitely matured as a person in college and throughout the years.
There's been so much talk about the changes that might happen to the ATP tour when we all do get back to tournaments. The whole no fans thing has been a big thing. But not to say that's wrong, no, don't take this the wrong way, but because you're younger and you were a junior recently, you played also college tennis, I think you might be more accustomed to playing in front of small-ish crowds. Does the
Hmm.
no fans thing throw you off? Is it something that's probably not going to be a big deal for you, assuming that that's how the next tournaments will be for the foreseeable future?
I think it definitely would be a little weird at the beginning for all players, I'm assuming. But I think for me, I when I'm playing, I don't really pay attention to the crowd as much, and just try to focus on my game. And maybe some other players like when there's big crowds and stuff, but for me, it's not really too much of a big deal. And I just try to go out there, focus on myself, and just try to play my game.
When you say focus on yourself, is that something that you've always been like that, or have you learned that through sports psych? I mean, what would you say is like your biggest strength on the court?
I think one of my biggest strengths on the court is definitely my mental game, and just being in every point in every match, not getting too down on myself or getting too excited during positive times. So I think that's definitely one of the biggest strengths in my game, and also just the all court game, being solid at the baseline, and of course I'm always trying to improve all strokes in my game. But I think for me, definitely the mental side of it is one of my biggest strengths.
It also sounds like one of your biggest strengths is like the dead set focus on the sport of tennis. It sounds like that you live, breathe, and you like live and like exist for the sport basically. But I did find out in Delray that you do have other interests and you watch The Bachelor. Is it true? And are you still a fan?
Oh man, yes, it is true that I was watching it actually with Bo when we were traveling together. I mean, just one of the nights we didn't have anything else to do, and we just turned the TV on, and it was The Bachelor. But and then we ended up actually getting hooked on it, and watching it every week when we were traveling together. So in a way it was good for both of us to just to watch something together and get that good chemistry. And even if it was the Bachelor, I mean,
Have you watched any other trashy reality shows at all other than The Bachelor?
um,
By no
yeah,
means am
actually,
I saying that The Bachelor is trashy. I'm just saying if you've watched anything else other than that.
I'm a big Bachelor fan. Don't be embarrassed.
I'm not. It's all good.
yeah. I mean, a couple months ago, I was on Netflix, and I actually watched this show. It's called Too Hot to Handle.
Oh my
I don't
god.
Yes. Yes,
I'm sure you
Brandon.
guys.
Yes.
I'm,
Don't
I'm
be
sure you guys
ashamed.
have seen that.
Of course
That's
I
got to
have.
be the most trashiest
No.
reality show I've ever seen, and it's just so bad you just can't stop watching. Though
They
it's
I know, I
develop.
know, I know. Yeah, it's so bad, but it's so good at the same time.
They
Just
had a
can't
lot of
stop watching it.
character growth. I don't know what you're talking about, Internet. They developed as people. They did.
It may be, yeah.
I can't even look at you seriously right now.
Oh, I watched that as well. The Bachelor, though, I also watched Listen to Your Heart. So I don't think there's anything to be embarrassed of here. You're
Oh,
in
I
good
haven't seen that
company.
one.
Oh, it's not as good, but it'll do. Back to tennis. Is there
hmm
what are you most looking forward to about coming back on tour and everything being maybe hopefully back to some kind of normal?
I mean, other than stating the obvious of just wanting to compete again, like I'm sure most players have been saying, I'm just looking forward to getting back out there and seeing all those top guys, and just trying to see where my game is at compared to all those guys, and just to see if I could put some good results together, and just try to keep improving my game and improving my ranking.
The travel is one of those things that I think is a shocking kind of realization for most players coming from college going into the professional tour. Was that something that you were like shocked with, or do you enjoy the travel? Is it something you're just like, all right, this is just, it is what it is?
Yeah, I actually do enjoy the traveling and going to different cities all over the world. It's actually a fun hobby for me, traveling and seeing new places. But especially as a tennis player, traveling most of the weeks throughout the year. I mean, I can see when sometimes it's difficult, always being on the road and staying in hotels and stuff. But for me at a young age, I don't think that will bother me too much. And I think just a matter of improving my game, and improving my time on the court, and not worrying about too much of the travel too much yet.
Is there a certain tournament you're most looking forward to playing? I know we were saying travel, so a certain city or place that you're most looking forward to?
Right now, definitely most looking forward to playing the U.S. Open if possible. I mean, I think I would probably need a wild card if they're available, but just hoping that I'll get the wild card and be able to compete there in New York. And I mean, all of the Grand Slams I would enjoy playing there, but right now during this time, I think the U.S. Open I'm most wanting to play right now.
Yeah, I think that for sure is safe to assume that you will make it to the U.S. Open one day soon.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully.
All right, Brandon, I think this has been great getting to know you a little bit and hearing more about what your story is as we look forward to your return, especially first at World Team Tennis at the Greenbrier, and then in the future on the ATP Tour, and one day in Arthur Ashe Stadium, maybe against Roger Federer. So it's been awesome
Hopefully,
talking to you.
All right.
Thanks so much,
thank
Brandon.
You for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
From the Tennis Channel Podcast Network, this has been the Tennis.com podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay caught up. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every major listening app, as well as tennis.com/podcasts. You can also see the videos of our episodes on Tennis Channel's YouTube page and Tennis.com's Facebook page. We're your hosts, Nina Pantic and Irina Falcone. We'd like to thank our team, editor and audio designer and video editor Christina Koseva, producers Alexa March and Sean O'Malley, and executive producers Shelby Coleman, Kyle Einhorn, and Andy Chu.